We're entering the second PARSHA in this book that we're reading. And the book is called, anybody know the name? What is this book called? Sefer SHMOS. SHMOS. And what does SHMOS mean?
Names.
Very good. Names. Okay. So, you know, in English, Latin, Greek, it's called Exodus, which makes sense too, right? Maybe more so than names do, right? And we take this phrase names, SHMOS, from the opening idea of these are the souls that, the 70 souls that went down to Egypt, and they're named. But as I was learning from Rav Hirsch this afternoon, this evening, I realized that the Parsha of names is really Vayera, the Parsha we're in now. And it's absolutely remarkable. As we left off last week, right, Moshe was given a task to bring the Jews out of Egypt. He went to Egypt, right? He confronted Paro, right? And Paro said, you know the problem with you people? You get too much time on your hands. You're thinking crazy stuff. You're going to leave here? No slave ever left Egypt. You're mine. You're not an independent person. What is this Hashem? I don't know this Hashem. Not part of the thing. It's not happening. Not leaving. And more than that, so you stop being distracted with all this mishigas. This, you're going to form a union on me or something, right? Keep building the same number of bricks every day, no straw. Go get your own straw. That'll keep you out of trouble, right? And, Moshe and Aaron pretty well escaped with their hides only. It was not a good situation. And Moshe came to God and said, okay, I understood you were going to harden God's heart, Pharaoh's heart. But my going to Egypt made things worse for these people. How could you do it? It's cruel. How could you do it? Right? So that's where we are now. And God, in one sentence, the Torah uses 3 names for God. And what we're being told here is things are changing. 3 names, SHMOS, are used in one sentence. Let's just take a little look at it. Right? In this sentence, God says, try to be sure.
One's going to be Elohim.
Yep.
One's going to be mercy. And the third one... Supremacy. Which means different relationships to man, to God.
Hashem spoke to Moshe. Sorry, Elohim spoke to Moshe. Right? And he said to him, Ani Hashem, using the 4-letter name. Right? But I appeared to Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov as Kel Shakai. Right? That's another word. I can't say the name of God, right? But take the K's out, right? Because Elohim is not Elohim, right? You know what I mean, right? And Kel Shakai means take the K off the first word, right? And so it's whatever, right? There's a beer beverage that's similar to it, a pale. Got it? Okay. And Shakai, you change the K's to D's, and you say that. And it's the name that's put on mezuzahs, right? That's what we see for the mezuzahs. He says, so I appeared to Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov as Kel Shakai, but with my name Hashem, for name, I did not make myself known to them. So first of all, God is saying names are important. Very, very important. When we sit at the Seder table, we sing a song, right? And the song is based around the idea of sufficiency. It would have been enough, right? It's called Dayenu. It's kind of a drinking song, I think. Dai Dayenu, Dai Dayenu, Dayenu, Dayenu. So if you had taken us out of the land of Egypt and not given us the Torah, it would have been sufficient. And if you taken us out of Egypt, and if you'd given us manna but not given us water, it would have been sufficient. We recognize that at every element of miracle that God did individually, as opposed to saying, if you'd taken us out of Egypt and brought us to Israel and given us the temple, that would have been great. Instead, we do every mid-step in Dayenu, right? But Dayenu, the word Dayenu, is actually from the same root as Shakai, when you change the case to D's. Okay? It is the God of sufficiency. When Avraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov needed something, I was there. I made sure they had it. I made sure what they needed they had, and I did it pretty well, Derek Atef. I did it through nature. Right? It says, I'm telling you, and by the way, I'm addressing you as Elohim because I'm a little bit irritated. I'm addressing you through the name of judgment. Remember we said Elohim actually can be the name of a judge. And it can be the name of a foreign god. Right? In it's singular. Right? In this case, we're saying that God in this form, right, addressed Moshe and said, up until now, when I've been talking to the family, I've used the word Kel Shakai. Kel Shakai came to me and said. It doesn't mean the Torah doesn't describe him with the four-letter name to describe how he, but in terms of his interaction with the three avos, right? Kel Shakai. Elohim, this name of God, always indicates it's kind of the blanket of nature that separates us from the understanding of what God is. We say, it's the sun rose in the east because those are the laws of nature. Right? But perhaps if we could see more clearly, we would see that each day God made a decision the sun should rise in the east, and he could have made a decision on Thursday I'll have it rise in the west. And the universe would continue. But he doesn't. Right? So we take that to mean that's the natural order of things. It's a phrase that we use, right? That's Elohim. Right? And Kel Shakai is using those things to make sure that whatever is required is there. But now the world is changing.
Could you stop for a second? Elohim means it's cause and effect that God establishes in this world that we have to follow or go along with when we do halachas.
Yeah. I mean, halachas are our way of, dancing properly with the system that God set up.
God set up, okay.
Yeah, for sure that's true. It doesn't mean that there aren't exceptions to this. And there are exceptions to it, right? And we're about to see them. Because what God now says, right, is now I'm going to tell you a special thing, right? I'm also Yud Kei Vav Kei. Right? Yud Kei Vav Kei is not nature. Yud Kei Vav Kei is not sufficiency. Yud Kei Vav Kei has no relationship with any of the physical laws that we hold to be true. For Yud Kei Vav Kei, there's no difference between vinegar and oil burning. the same. Right? There's no difference between yesterday and today and tomorrow. Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is in all of them all the time. There's no future and past. It's all there. This is very hard to get our head around, and if you can't get your head around it, you're amongst the vast, vast majority of us.
I am what I am, and I will be.
And I will be. But now God is telling His servant, Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Some big things are about to happen. Right? I am about to pull away the curtain of Elohim, Mother Nature, right? And you're going to see
the infinite.
What happens. And what happens when I pull away that curtain, right, is anything that I feel appropriate at that moment will happen. I'm not constrained by anything. So Moshe Rabbeinu, your concern that things are heading downhill for the people is very normal in the world of Kel Shakai, in the world of Elohim. It's a very normal thing to do. I mean, after all, your grandfather was perceived as a prince, your great-grandfather, Abraham, among non-Jews. Right? Yitzchak had to struggle to open up the wells with people. Right? Yaakov came as a king who became a slave. He was a slave to Lavan. He was in fear of Esau. Right? Things have been heading downhill for some time, right? And they've continued downhill. Right? So if you're seeing that the trend is not good, and you're upset about it, you're living in this world. But understand that I'm intentionally bringing it to the brink. And I can take it away from the brink through supernatural means. It doesn't have to be through natural means. Everything you've been seeing has been through, of course they became slaves. You're living in the Middle East. They're a powerful nation, you're a weak nation. That's what they do to each other. They take them as slaves. It's happening all over the neighborhood. You're not alone, that's a normal thing. But what is not normal is what is about to happen. Because now Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is pulling the curtain aside, right? And I can reverse the trend in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye. Right? And I've created this world, says Rav Hirsch, as I've created it for the Jews intentionally. Intentionally. Because I want them to understand that they have no strength. That they have no power, that they have no militancy, that they have no wealth, that they have no intelligence, that they have no freedom. They have nothing except me. And having me, they have everything. Everything. This is his point at this moment, says Rav Hirsch. He said, the Jews are created to be the standard bearer of God. And if they were created as other nations, they would fail at this. Because like all nations, their concerns would be the normative concerns people have. Money, power, success, fame, all of those things. Right? And indeed, we're often tempted by those things. But there does seem to be something in the Jewish neshama which goes back to this process of trial, this process of saying, no, you're not only a slave, in a bad place for 210 years. You're a slave in a place that has one reputation. No slave ever escaped from Mitzrayim. You could be in a terrible place in the Sudan, but there is some guy who once got out of it, right? Nobody from Mitzrayim ever got out. Nobody, right? This is where I want you to be, and I want them to give up hope. And I want them to know that there's nothing in this world that can free them except me. And now Yud Kei Vav Kei, not Kel Shekai, not Elohim, Yud Kei Vav Kei will take this task on. Right? And I will embed in these people this understanding that even when the sword hangs at your neck, I can remove it. I can remove it with all of your weakness. I can remove it. And we see history has proven this to be absolutely true. You know, that this is not a nation. You know, we had glorious moments of tremendous military power, and for some reason there is a perception that we dominate the Middle East. You know, this little tiny country the size of Rhode Island. So, you know, maybe we're very smart, and maybe we have great technology, and maybe we have, you know, tremendous weapon systems, and all those things. But it all comes down to Yud Kei Vav Kei. All comes down to, it's not Kel Shekai, and it's not Elohim. And this is what we're told here. Now, more than that for names, in the middle of this plan that God has, where He's revealed it, right? He says that He's already explained who He is, right? He says, "Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe ve'el Acharon, vayitzavem el bnei Yisrael ve'el Paro melech Mitzrayim, v'hotzi es bnei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim." And thereupon God spoke to Moshe and Aaron and commanded, right? So something's moving very fast now, right? You know, He's usually saying Vayomer. It's very kind of, it's a loving word. Now He's saying Vayidaber and Vayitzveim, right? That I am speaking, like, listen up, right? And I'm commanding, right? This is a sign that the pace is picking up, you know? We're no longer at the stage where we kind of say, well, I can't do it, right? I'm not asking. I'm telling you now, God is speaking. You're going to do it, right? So, thereupon God spoke to Moshe and Aaron and commanded them concerning the children of Israel, concerning Paro, the king of Egypt. By the way, here Paro is called Paro Melech Mitzrayim. Sometimes he's called Melech Mitzrayim, sometimes he's called Paro, sometimes he's called both. We can talk about that another time. But again, names, right? To bring the children of Israel out of Egypt, right? And by the way, these are the children of Yaakov, Israel and Yaakov. Literally talking.
This is a merciful, giving God at this point. It's not a God of justice, but a giving, helping, moving the people along.
But it's a very firm God, because Moshe is not as anxious as God is at this moment, it seems. And then after He's given this command, and things are moving forward, I'm commanding you to do this, suddenly the Torah wanders off into a completely different discussion. I'm just going to read the English very quickly, okay? It says that, and to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. Okay? These are the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, Yisrael's firstborn, Hanak, Palu, Chetzron, Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. Shimon's sons, Yemuel, Yamin, Ohad, Yachin, Tzachar, Shaul, the son of the Canaanite woman. These are the families of Shimon. And these are the names of Levi's sons in the order of their birth: Gershon, Kehas, Mahari. The years of Levi's life were 137 years. What's going on? Right? Remember, He just told him to go to Egypt, and now we're going through a list here? Right? And Gershon's sons, Livni and Shimei, according to their families, and Kahas's sons, Amram and Yitzhar and Chevron and Uziel. The years of Kahas's life were 133 years. Merari's sons, Machli and Mushi. These are the families of Levi's according to their descent. And Amram took a wife, Yocheved, his aunt, and she bore him Aaron and Moshe. The years of Amram's life, 137 years. And Yitzhar's sons, Korach, Nepheg, and Zichri. Uziel's sons, Mishael, Eltzvan, and Sisri. Aaron took a wife, Elisheva, the daughter of Amidav, Nachshon's sister. And she bore him Nadav and Avihu, Eleazar and Itzmar. Let's get on with the story. Korach's sons, Asir and Elkanah and Avi Asaph. These are the Korachi families. Eleazar, the son of Aaron, took a wife. Anybody getting impatient here? I'm getting impatient, right? Took a wife, one of the daughters of Putiel. She bore him Pinchas. These are the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levium, according to the family's lives. So I'm getting used to it at this point. Okay. So now let's go on to Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. Okay, so we should go on to... Wait a second. It stops there. It stops after the first three. No Yehuda, no Dan, no other tribes mentioned. What does it say? Hu acharonu Moshe asher Omar Adonai Lachem Hotziu es b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim al Sivosam. These are Aaron and Moshe, whom God said, bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their hosts. Picking up the story again, right? It's right where we got, right? Ham hadaberim el paro melech Mitzrayim v'hotzi es b'nei Yisrael miMitzrayim hu Moshe acharon. These are the ones who spoke to Paro, the king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. These are Moshe and Aaron. What was it all about? You could take out the whole thing and you wouldn't have missed this, not a beat. Not a beat, right? So Rav Hirsch explains it's very important. Right? Remember how Moshe is described, who his parents are at the beginning of his life? Anybody remember? Right. There was a child born to a man of Levi and a woman of Levi. He has no identity at all. Right? It doesn't say Amram Yocheved when he's born. Just a woman of Levi and a man of Levi, they had a child. Right? That's all it says, right? From this we understand that Moshe is a conduit. He's not he's not Rabbi Akiva. He's not a self-made man, right? He's created from the first day of creation. He's planned, right, as to come from Levi, an unenslaved people, but not to have his own identity per se. He's just simply this pure Levite, right? That's what we know. But now, God has revealed to him something that he revealed to no man before. A few sentences before, he pulled the curtain away. Yud Kei Vav Kei. Right. This is a tremendous insight. One could say power. My friend Simcha Yakubovich often says that the reason that the quality that Moshe Rabbeinu had was that he was the humblest of all men. So says the Torah. And that God chose him for this quality was anybody who had had this experience that this person had, who was not the humblest of all men, would perceive himself to be a god. Perceive himself to be a god. That humility had to be the intrinsic center value of this, in order to be able to have this relationship with the creator of the universe. So the Torah now goes out of its way to tell you he is a man of flesh and blood. We identified him at birth as a pure channel. But lest you think that he somehow, his birth is divine and he is from some other source. Right? Know it not to be true. That he is a man of flesh and blood, like other men. That, as a child, he wants to play. As a young man, he wants to be married. He is a man of flesh and blood. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu changes as time goes on. It's very clear that qualities about him become so refined and so special that he seems to lose human appetite, you know, and be in another sphere, so to speak. But the Torah is going out of its way to tell you here. He is a man who came from a man and a woman, you know, through the natural order of things. And they were born of men and women, and so it goes back. But it does give you one hint, right? It tells you we stop here, right? Because the significance is that he is a Levite, right? That he is a Levite, right? He is a man of letters, you know. He is a man of learning. Right? He is not, and in doing this, by the way, curiously enough, far in advance, the Torah refutes two things. The Torah says a prophet has to have certain qualities, right? So a prophet has to be strong, he has to be wealthy, he has to be wise, right? He has to be strong because he has to endure what the process is. This is not a easy process, right? He has to not have tremendous concerns moment to moment. He doesn't have to be rich, Donald Trump rich. He has to be rich so that he's not constantly troubled, as many of us are, by, you know, how we're going to make the minimum requirements for a secure life. Right? This should not be his focus. Right? His focus is not in increasing his wealth tremendously, but he has enough money so that he has security. Right? And he has to be wise, right? So that he can interpret the words. Now, these three qualities, combined with the fact that he has to be human, right, are, we realize later on, right, become very important in other faiths. Right? There are other religions that are very close, have a lot in common with Judaism, right, in which somebody like Moshe Rabbeinu has to be born of divinity. He can't be born, you know, of Yocheved and Amram, you know, who are born of tracing their thing of natural birth. Yes, you know, this was not just true in Christianity; it was true in many faiths. The idea of a divine birth of an individual. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu, it's emphasized, and by the way, his death is emphasized that we have no idea where he is, for exactly the same reason that he should never be worshipped on his own. Only appreciated as a nevet of Hashem. So he was human from beginning to end. But he was not an illiterate person. He was not a foolish person. He came from Levi. Levi was a learned world. You know, this was the nature of Levi. Levi were teachers, right? So that he had a wisdom that was given to Levi. It was part of the requirement of Levi. So what we learn in this Parsha of Vayera is God demonstrating different names and telling him at the end that I'm now revealing a new name and I'm going to pull the curtain aside and you will see what happens. That your concerns that you voiced are very normal in the world of Elohim, very normal in the world of Kel Shakai, but not in the world of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Because in the world of Yud Kei Vav Kei, the future and the past and the present are all at my disposal, and things can change like that. Right? And also, the Parsha stops in the middle to say that the instrument of Yud Kei Vav Kei's plan, executing his plan, is a man, is a human being with a mother and a father, you know, and that he, through his experiences in life, he becomes different than other men. That's granted true, but that he has a normative birth, you know, in the sense that, okay, the light shone, there's measures that light shone in the house, and he came prematurely, and he saw it, right? But that, you know, he had an umbilical cord that was cut, that he lived in a womb, you know, that He was the product of a relationship between a man and a woman, and generations back between man and woman. You should know it. They want to tell you that. They want to interrupt everything to tell you this. So I think that what we see is this combination in this parsha, and the key to all of it, right, is SHMOS, SHMOT, is names, right? And I never realized that the secret of the names is not in the first parsha. It's in this parsha. God's names and Moshe's names, and his heritage.